which is going to contribute a lot to your blocking percent. And you're going to have a good shield and stuff, right? So that is the Paladin. Now, let's move over to my baby girl, the Sorceress. So, the Sorceress is the glass cannon of the game. Extremely strong, but extremely fragile. So let's look at her starting stats: 10 vitality, 10 strength. Yikes. Yikes is all I can say. That is not great. Hit points 40. Ooh. Again, that's difficult. That's really she's really not she's really not great there, right? But she has good dexterity for some reason. Sure. And great energy. Additionally, if we go down to her stats per effect, 2 life per vitality. It's the low end, right? That's the low end. 1 stamina, but then 2 mana per energy. So investments into mana on the sorceress can actually pay off. Okay, they can actually be worthwhile for her. Each character level, she gains 1 life. So remember, Paladin got 2 life per level. She gets 1 life per level. Not a lot again. 1 stamina, but she does get 2 mana. So getting mana on her is easy. Getting life on her is very difficult, and that's why she is very fragile, right? That's why she's very fragile. Let's go to her breakpoints. This is for all skills. Well, first we'll go faster recovery. Faster recovery, she starts at 15 and can work her way all the way down. That's not great, right? Paladin started at 9. So, not the best, but you can see it doesn't take a ton to kind of get down to, if you can get 30, you're down to 10, 10 frames there, So you can kind of work your way down a little bit. But not the greatest hit recovery. Not the worst either, but not the greatest. Her faster cast rate is very strong, right? Very, very good. 13 frames at 0%. That's very good, as you would expect from her. And her block rate is 9 frames at 0%, and it takes a lot to kind of work it down from there. Not the greatest blocking either. So really her strength there is faster cast rate, right? That's kind of her strength. And mana, if we really take a look at this stuff. So you say, okay, why do we love the Sorceress so much? Well, we love the Sorceress, and this is the fastest character in the game for speedrunning. Obviously, the first thing to note is she has teleport. This is, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I give myself some energy on this character. I guess we should go through stats first. First things first, strength, just enough to use equipment. Never anything more. Never anything beyond that. Dexterity, you could run max block. I don't really know a lot of sorceresses that run max block. I'm not going to lie. Zeal Source? Maybe, if you're going to do that. But other than that, pretty much you're either all your points into Vitality, or, you would basically need Storm Shield pretty much, yeah. Like, you're just rare instances running that. But other than that, you're either Vitality or your Energy, depending on if you are running Energy Shield or if you are running not Energy Shield and running just for Vitality, right? So if you're running Energy Shield, you're going to have maxed Energy Shield and maxed Telekinesis. This is going to make it difficult for monsters to kill you, right? They're going to have to work through all your mana first. Additionally, this is going to make it so your faster hit recovery isn't going off because they're hitting your mana down. So you don't have to worry about that. The crappy part is mana burn in this game is pretty bugged in that it's just going to do way too much damage and take way too much of your mana away. And that's going to screw you over. So PVM, it's kind of difficult. It is possible, though, and I've actually talked with Slimo about this and whatever, other people, and you can run some Energy Shield I wouldn't purely be Energy Shield, really PVM, but you can run some Energy Shield, and it can be helpful in a lot of situations still. So the biggest factor, I think, is the faster hit recovery, right? Because you're not getting put into faster hit recovery when you're getting hit with Energy Shield, it allows you to get through an area still, at least, instead of getting stuck and then having to try and re-teleport to get past it. So, right, just that's something to note with it. It can be good in PvP, though. A lot of people like it in PvP. Yes, that's also true. Bale and the Succubi have a curse called Blood Mana. If your spell, if you have more mana than life, then whenever you cast a spell, it costs life instead of mana. This is a curse that exists in the game. You've probably never seen it because your mana's probably been never higher than your life. But it's something that you should note. So, anyways, like I say, most people are going to be this vitality. Okay, most people are going to be max vitality. And you can see, even with all those points, I'm not even at 1,000. Obviously, if I had my level 99 points, I'd be at 1,000, but whatever, right? Hard to get life on this character. Most people are running vitality, but you can put points in energy. When you're like late game, fully maxed out, whatever, you don't need points in energy. Start of the game, mid game though, having points in energy can be very useful. So let's look at a few of the things that make her amazing, right? A few of the things that make her amazing. The first one's teleport. Oh my god, already you can tell why she's broken, right? Already you can tell. Instead of having to wait and run around and, oh no, this is a horrible... I just teleport. And I can teleport everywhere, just all around. So that right there is like the skill on the Sorceress that takes her to like her OP level. Maybe. Because now everybody has Enigma, they can all teleport as well. Skill number 2 that makes her OP. Static Field. So, I want you to look at how much damage I do to this guy. Look at that. Look at that. It's crazy. Okay? Static Field weakens enemies by 25% of their current life. Which means I can sit there and just static in a group. And I'll even, let's get a few points in this. You can see the radius is getting bigger. You don't need multiple points if you're gonna, because you're gonna have plus skills and stuff. Start of the game, I like to get multiple points because it's super strong. So let's go find an area. Let's just do Cold Plains. There's usually groups of monsters here. Perfect. Let's go find a group. Come on. Okay. I can literally just have all these guys. And I have now brought all these guys down in life. Look at the range on that puppy, too. And I can bring them all the way down to half of their life. Okay? This is in hell. This is in hell. I can bring them all the way down to half of their life. In Nightmare, I can bring them down to 33% of their life. And in Normal, I can bring them down to literally 1 HP just using static. So all you have to do, and you saw how few statics it took to do that. All you have to do is static a couple times. And this works on everybody, including bosses. Okay, including bosses. So I can go up to Bale, and it's only half on Bale. So any bosses, it's 12.5%. It still takes nothing. I go to Bale, and I just go static, right? 6 or 7 statics, he's at half of his life. In a few seconds, he's at half of his life. I could be level 6. And if I could survive long enough standing next to Bale, I could get him to half of his life in no time at all. Because I'm just staticking. This might be one of the most broken skills in the game. This might be one of the most broken skills in the game, and one of the best skills in the game. Once again, it's usually a 1-point wonder, because you have enough skills to just increase the radius on its own. But that's regardless. So, This, and this are kind of the three skills that you will get in your light tree always, no matter what. It doesn't matter what character you're playing. If you're a cold source, fire source, light source, mixed combo, it doesn't matter. You're going to have a point in static. You're going to have a point in teleport, and one telekinesis to get to teleport. Telekinesis is also nice. People don't use it very much, but you can use it to like go places. You can use it to open chests, open rocks. You know, pick up potions and gold, whatever. Right? I like it a lot. It's great for speedrunning. A lot of people don't use it though. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. That's pretty much all you're gonna have. Everything else is irrelevant unless you're gonna be a light source or some sort of combo with it, which we'll get to. Fire skills, you're gonna, once again, 1 point wonder, you're gonna put it in warmth. Okay, you don't put a point in teleport if you use Enigma. That's fair. If you're using Enigma, you don't put a point in teleport. That is the only time. Some people will do that, but that is the only time that you won't put that. So, static does not work with lightning immunes. That's correct. But no bosses are immune. Have immunes, like bosses, right? Uber bosses, or late game bosses. The Uber ones, actually. So, warmth, you're going to get mana regen. And this is another 1 point wonder. You'll have like plus 15, plus 20 to your skills. And so at the end of it all, you're going to have a lot of mana regen. And it's going to be decent. It's going to help you out. Early on, it's okay. It doesn't do a ton. But late game, this is very, very strong. And it's a synergy to enchant if you want to be an enchantress. So this is the only 1 point wonder, really, in the fire tree. And cold, frozen armor. This is the best armor, in my opinion, for the sorceress. When I run a hell sorceress, I'm not putting a point in shiver or in chilling armor. The point is, or why I like frozen armor, is because it freezes enemies that hit you. So if a melee enemy is around you and hits you, it will freeze that enemy, which means it gives you a chance to get away from that monster. Okay? That is why I love that. Shimmer armor is just going to slow them, or it freezes and damages, but same sort of idea. It's not as good as frozen armor, and chilling armor just discharges an ice bolt against ranged attackers. It's garbage. So frozen is the best. Frozen is the best. Use frozen. Don't use the other two. That's all I can say. Now, let's look. Do warmth and regen try and stack? Yes. And you can only use one of these, by the way. So use frozen. Let's look at. Let's just put a point in everything here so we can kind of showcase it all. The difference is shiver armor will get the effect before you get hit, which is useful. It's not as good. I promise it's not as good. You might think it's as good, but it ain't. It ain't as good. Let's see if I can like show you without dying, I guess. These guys are immune to cold. They're not going to be good shows. Let's go to Darkwood. Hey, everybody called me in. Whatever. I don't have to prove it. The first one's the best, the other two are bad. Yeah. So, continuing forward. Skills and things that we can do with a sorceress. A lot of people like cold sorceresses, and I don't blame them. Things like Blizzard or Frozen Orb are fantastic skills. But I would never recommend starting with a cold sorceress. Because these skills kind of suck. They're decent when you have crap tons of items and you're maxed out and running Blizzard plus one of these or whatever it is. But early on, they're just bad. That's all I can say. They're just bad. They just aren't going to help you. You're not going to do enough damage. You'll start out doing maybe minor damage, then you'll get to Ice Blast, and you'll be trying to get through, and then you'll get to like level 11, 12, 13, and you're like, okay, I can't get to this skill yet, and I just do no damage. And this costs a ton of mana. And thank you, Snaps.
Holla holla, big balla.
And it's just bad. Frost Nova, you can't do a lot of damage with it. It's the same idea, okay? These skills are just not going to do enough for you, and you're just going to be stuck waiting to get to level 24, which really is difficult using these skills. Would not recommend starting as the Cold Source. This is one that you use that respec to get into later. Because when you eventually get there, and you get into a decent respec, and let's go to like Stony, right? Everything's cold immune everywhere. Forget that noise. Bring me to Cold Plains. There we go, there's some non-dudes. I can use skills such as Blizzard or Frozen Orb that I can just put in place and do a lot of damage. Right, and they have really good AoE, they have really good damage, and obviously I have like 1 point in them, so ignore the damage right now, but these have very, very, very good damage, okay? So, this is very solid. Would highly recommend Blizzard or Frozen Orb. And Blizzard, you're going to pretty much pump all of these in this line, which means you can also use like Ice Blast with it, or Glacial Spike if you want to freeze a lot of things. Frozen Orb is more of that like 1 point wonder. Not 1 point wonder, but like a single skill wonder. It doesn't have a lot of synergies, so it kind of dies off towards the end. But if you go here, you get your Cold Mastery up. You can also pump Ice Bolt for a little more damage. This allows you to spread your skills elsewhere. So Frozen Orb is a fantastic skill if you want to be a multifaceted sorceress. Okay. Cold Mastery, I'm going to do how immunities work with Cold Mastery because it's important to note. Cold Mastery cannot break immune. If the guy is cold immune, it doesn't matter how big my Cold Mastery is, how much decrease it is, it cannot do anything. Additionally, all it is a minus to the resistances of the monster that you are fighting. Once again, it can't break their immunity, but if they aren't immune, let's say that there are 50 cold resistances in hell, you could have minus 150% in this, right? It's 5% per level. If you get that to minus 150%, they would be at negative 100. And you can't go below that. So having a certain number of points in Cold Mastery eventually gets you to a point where it's just not worth it anymore. Because if I had 50 points in Cold Mastery, let's pretend I had all these plus skills and all these whatever stuff. I mean, it's not really possible, but let's just pretend that I have all these things and I get 50 points in it. It does nothing for me, right? There is just no amount of skill point. Like it's too much, right? Nothing has that much resistance. If they do, they're immune to cold, and I'm not breaking it down anyways. So a lot of monsters, I would say, are between, basically if you can get your Cold Mastery to be 130 to 140, 150%, you're going to cover most monsters in the game. Sure, some bosses might have a little more than that, whatever, but you are covering most monsters that aren't cold immune in the game with 130 to 150% Cold Mastery. So think about that when you're putting points in, right? Like right now I have no plus to skills, but if I had plus to skills, plus 15 to skills, plus 10 to skills, whatever, I would have too much at this point, right? Like I don't need to have this much in it if I'm going to have all those plus to skills. Additionally, on my Holy Grail source, I run Conviction on her, which is its own minus 87%, I think. So I only put 1 point in Cold Mastery. I get 1 point, and then I have plus 12 to skills, I think, so it's a level 13. And then my Conviction, it brings out to a total of about minus 150 to minus 160% resistances. That all combines, and that, once again, you can only bring a monster to minus 100 resistances, so it just isn't going to do much more beyond that. Okay, so think about that when you're maxing Cold Mastery. It's not always going to be 100% necessary to have it maxed. But like I said, going back, things that I like about the Cold Source, I like Frozen Armor. I like Frost Nova early on, just for 1-point wonder, just to slow things around me, right? Just so if I'm in danger, let's go to the Black Marsh. Give me Frost Nova. If I'm in danger, if there's a lot of monsters coming up on me, oh no! I can slow them. And this makes it a lot easier for me to get away, right? Or to attack them, whatever it is. Always good to have something like that. Great 1-point wonder for early on in the game. Other than that, Blizzard and Frozen Orb are my late game stuff. Moving on. Lightning skills. Now, this is one of the most powerful sorceresses, but it does require a lot of plus to skills. Probably the most expensive sorceress as well. You're going to be max lightning mastery, max chain lightning, max charge bolt, max nova if you can. You just want to get your lightning damage up to as strong as you possibly can. Now the strengths with this, you can run conviction. Conviction breaks from an infinity, right, on your mercenary, or you can hold it if you would like. You can break light immunes easily. Cold immunes are the hardest immunes to break in the game. Light immunes are the easiest immunes to break in the game, or immunes to break. So very, very good for that. So you can kill a lot of monsters with it. The damage is also extremely high. Right now it's like 1 to 174, okay, whatever. But when you pump this, plus this, plus this, plus this, plus this, and then you have plus to lightning skills, plus to lightning percent, plus to minus to enemies resistances, all this stuff, you pump all these things, you're going to be doing tens of thousands of damage. 30,000, 40,000 lightning damage. It's a lot. So you can just sit there and shoot this, and it's got good penetration on it as well, right? And so I'm going to sit there and I can, shoot lightning like that, right? Whee! I can either shoot it as lightning, or if there's a lot of monsters around, I can shoot it as chain lightning, and it'll chain between monsters, which is really nice as well. Okay, so lightning is very good. Things to note though. Remember when I talked about that faster cast rate table? 13 frames at 0% and 12, 11, 10. Lightning is different. Lightning is slower. So it's at, what does it start at? 19 frames, I think, is at 0% to cast lightning, I think. 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. I think it's 19 frames to cast it. So it is a lot slower for casting its spells. Okay, so that's something that you need to note. You want to be at 117 faster cast rate. That's like the magic spot for a light source, right? Is that 117? That's like the magic number, basically, where it's a pretty quick and does decent damage. But even that is still, I think, 15 frames per shot. So it's going to be slower in how much she shoots it out. But the damage is insane. And when you have all those skills, all that stuff maxed, all that damage, infinity, you can like 2 or 3, 4 shot bosses, whatever. Probably not 2 shot, but you're probably like 3, 4, or 5 shotting bosses with your lightning. Also, charged bolt can do a crap ton of damage because all the bolts are doing tons of damage, and you can have each one hit if you shoot it really narrow at a big boss. Very strong character. Thunderstorm can also be a good side skill to kind of have as well, and that just goes around and drops a bolt of lightning, if you want it. So, yeah. Thank you, Big J.
Damn you, llama. Every time I kick my D2 habit, here you come again.
I apologize.
At least I don't have to buy new CD keys anymore.
I mean, that's always good, right? That's always good. So, within this tree, very solid. Another option for the character is a Nova Sorceress. So basically, you teleport around and you cast Nova. And this is actually what is used in world record speedrunning. This is also very good for the like PvP, Not so great PVM when you get later on, but basically you just run around and you just telly, 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 nova, 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 telly, telly, nova, nova, right? You're just going very quickly between nova and telly. Has great AoE around you, and the damage is pretty decent as well. But you can see it doesn't have any synergies, so basically you're pumping nova, you're pumping lightning mastery, and then running conviction and things like that to get your damage up. Can be solid, but lightning, I would say, is generally what you're going to see from a lightning sorceress, right? Or a lightning spells sorceress. Last but not least, we have fire, and fire is kind of the middle one for being broken in terms of resistances. But there are a lot of fire resistances in hell, so that's where you have to be a little careful. The damage, however, from fire can be fantastic, and this is also a very popular PvP style. And I would say actually all three of them are pretty popular PvP styles because they all have really high damage. So what you're generally going to see, Inferno's trash, Blaze is trash, Firewall is good in niche situations. That's about it. Warmth is that 1 point wonder. Hydra's complete trash. Just ignore it. Enchant, you can be an enchant sorceress. So some sorcerers like to do that where they go and they basically become a melee character and get themselves enchant and a super strong weapon, and it does a lot of damage, and then they can go on a killing spree with that. So that's fun, but it does require decent gear. But the most common is this little combo right here: Firebolt, Fireball, and Meteor. Meteor has that delay on hit, so it's kind of annoying. But if you're in the right spots with it or whatever, oh god, right, here's that delay, and then it crashes down, and it has a little bit of burn on it as well. So if you're using Meteor, you're cast. It's great for like cheesing Mephisto and things like that, or slower moving monsters. Meteor can do decently well. Fireball is really good. And this is a great, if you want to be, I recommend a light sorceress for early in the game because you get charge bolt and nova static are all amazing. But a fire sorceress can also be very good in the early game because fireball does so much damage in a good radius. And you can see it has that 1 yard radius, which is decent little amount around. And it's just got a nice explosion about it. Plus the damage is decent, especially when you start pumping up Fire Mastery to increase your fire damage, Meteor, Fire Bolt to increase the fire damage per level. When you start increasing all of those, you're going to see pretty good results from your Fireball. So this is a very strong build as well. You'll see a lot of people that run fire and are running Fireball, Firebolt, whatever in PvP as well. This is also fantastic if you want to be a mixed sorceress. So the hybrids that you're generally going to see are cold, light, where you're going to be running maxed frozen orb, right? 20 points frozen orb, couple points of cold mastery, and then you just get the rest from the other things. And then people run like lightning or whatever it is, just for some side damage to help out. Or cold fire. And when they're running cold fire, they're either running, once again, frozen orb or blizzard. You kind of pick which one you want. If you do blizzard, you're probably not maxing every synergy with it. So you kind of pick which one you want, and then you come over here and you put some skills into Fireball, Firebolt, and Fire Mastery, or you put skills into Meteor. So they like to run, it's called Meteorb. So they run Meteor and Frozen Orb. So you can run Meteor for a lot of damage, and then Frozen Orb as well. And you kind of decide what you want is best. For me, my personal favorite is I run Max Blizzard, Max Glacial, Max Ice Blast, Max Ice Bolt, 1 point Cold Mastery, 10, 10, 1. Now this is on a level 98 character, so that's I can also go 1, 1, 1. But when you have this as such, this is the most optimal damage for your Fireball. 10, 10, 1 is the most optimal damage for your Fireball, I believe. If you're, only spending that many skill points on it. And you can see it's doing 245 to 302 without any plus skills. So it's very helpful to run something of this nature, right? To get some fire damage, and then you're using like Blizzard for your main. So you can run that Blizzard stuff, you can run Frozen Orb stuff. Once again, kind of deciding. But people run Cold Light or Cold Fire, and like I said, this is due to the fact that there are immunities in this game, and especially with cold immunities, you just can't break them I mean, there's some you can, but most you're not going to break at all. So it's pretty annoying, and your best bet is to just run some alternate spec with it. So, kind of depends. If you're playing PvP, you're probably just running a single spec. If you're playing PvM, you're probably running a dual spec, at least of some sort, or running with a very strong mercenary. One of the two. You think Meteorb's better? A lot of people like Meteorb. They like Frozen Orb and they like Meteor. Personally, I much prefer the Fireball, just because Fireball has a lot more. You can be a lot more agile with it. You're not waiting on the delayed drop and all that stuff. But that's me. I totally understand if you feel differently about it. So that kind of covers the sorceress, um, and what sorts of skills and stats and things like that. Very strong character. One of the strongest. She can finish the game naked. She's super strong. Um, but I guess any character technically can, but she can do it a little better. Having teleport just native to her is really nice, so you aren't required to get Enigma for it or anything like that. And super strong for magic finding, very high damage, but she is fragile, so just be aware of that, right? That's the big thing to be aware of. So if anybody has any questions, Lightning Orb, yeah, a lot of people like Lightning Orb. No Hydra, no, Hydra's trash. If you have any questions, feel free to post them there, but I'll go ahead and cut the Sorceress right there. All right, any questions on it? Full Light with Infinity is